Good evening, and welcome to Garbage Theater. Tonight's installment, Desert Heat. I'm your host Chase with my co-hosts Blake and John.
Yellow.
Let's get this shit show on the road. All right, so here we are, finally.
Yeah, this is
Ironically, there's no road.
There's no road.
It's in the middle of the desert.
So if you've listened to our last episode, we've been on pins and needles about what Blake's gonna lay on us this episode.
right.
He's been alluding to his exit because this movie, this Jean-Claude Van Damme, Akira Kurosawa ripoff has broken him.
It has, and I've come to terms with it. But things are different now.
What the fuck?
What is happening?
I don't know. I mean, what are we doing here?
Elaborate.
I mean, like, why are we here?
On Earth?
Yeah, what does life mean? No, I'll tell you what it is. And so I'll just tell you what the epiphany was. It was actually, I'm half hour into the movie, and I realize I haven't taken one note. Not one single note.
He was so enthralled.
And the reason being is I was enjoying this movie so fucking much.
I knew it.
That I didn't take one note. And I said, you know what? I'm not taking a note. Because I'm sitting here, I have watched so many bad movies.
Yes.
That I'm sitting here watching Desert Heat.
Yes.
And thinking how great of a movie this is.
Yes. Oh, Blake.
So
thank you.
It's I had to go through all the stages. Like first there was denial, like, no, you don't like this. This is just, you just trying to be funny in your own mind. And it's like, no, dude, you're digging this movie.
Yes.
And
exactly.
So I don't know if I'm going to have to leave or if I'm going to have to only find movies of the same caliber of Desert Heat.
To keep this high going.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I watched it only once, and I didn't take one note. So it's like the good old days of no note taken and all that. But like, it's weird now. Everything else pales in comparison to Desert Heat.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, okay, John. So what's your boggle? Because you didn't like this movie.
No, I did not.
Dude, this movie was awesome.
This movie was, I'm telling you, it was hard target tier awesome.
I just didn't think it was that awesome.
If you name it, this movie had it.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I'll give you that it's bonkers and that like it went all over the place, but I don't know. Had everything. I mean, we're gonna talk about it, but I didn't like it. I thought it was boring.
That's insane. That's insane to me.
This movie had everything.
Maybe if you had 13 more shit movies under your belt, like we do, you might appreciate it more.
I actually feel like Stefan from Saturday Night Live, where he's like, "This club has everything." Like that's something. It has coyotes, Indians, Dan Cortez.
There was something about it. It just felt like it was trying to be. It was like weird for weird's sake. It was like a Coen Brothers movie if the Coen Brothers were morons.
I
liked it. I mean, can we get to it? Because I liked it.
I loved it too, yeah. Okay, yeah. This movie is awesome. It's awesome front to back. and it's filled with subtle little nuances that make it batshit crazy.
You know, I hope you guys can turn my opinion around. I look forward to hearing about what was good.
I haven't explored it as in depth as Chase because like I'm kind of scared of it.
I watched this movie 3 times.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that point because then I'm gonna have to start like a fan club and you know. The way I approached this one was I'm gonna try something different. I'm just gonna watch it. I'm not gonna take notes. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna watch it once just to see it.
Let it wash over you.
I loved every second of it. So I had it. Like I had a good foundation. So when I watched it again to start my notes, I didn't have to really scrutinize it because I knew the broad strokes already. So it really helped me on that note.
So is what you're saying the new standard is watching a movie twice now?
It's what I'm going to be doing.
That's what I was doing for a while.
Watch it once without taking a single note and then go through it again, taking notes, and the notes go much more smoothly. That's just me, though.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I'm going the opposite direction right now.
I need to watch it less.
I watched it once a week ago. I barely remember it.
I watched it a week ago, and it doesn't matter.
I watched it the day after I dropped the Sword of Vandammecles.
Well,
I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to watch this, and I was correct in that.
I'm just saying
that instinct.
There's still a chance I'm leaving. Because like I'm smiling and I'm laughing about it now, but this is really shaking me to my core. That like if you gave me the choice of almost any other movie, like if you said, okay, you got to watch a movie tonight, and it's Desert Heat or just about anything else, I'd probably watch Desert Heat.
I don't get it.
I want to own this movie. I need to go and dive into the $5 bins at all the Walmarts and find it.
Like with the exception of like Lord of the Rings stuff, I'd choose this over just about anything right now.
Holy shit.
Okay, well,
I definitely remember seeing the cover of this back when I worked in the video stores.
You are the second person I've heard tell me that.
Oh yeah, I've seen, like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to pick this one, because I have seen the cover of it so many times, just laying in a bin of other movies, sitting next to Homeward Bound 2.
Right. Air Bud.
Well, we got a lot to get through, so let's dive in. So
let's do.
So one thing that I just want to cap us off with, that I want everybody to be thinking about as we go through the movie. Is Johnny Six Toes actually real?
That's a good question. It's a very good question.
Because it is a good question.
I think you can argue it even in the scenes where you know he's there. So
it's
just keep that at the forefront of your mind.
It's a question that keeps me up most nights now. Like, is he the coyote? Or is he a person?
We need to get to the bottom of this. He's
I don't know if there's enough information to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, he's another one of the what's his name from Avalanche Sharks. He's an eternal.
He's eternal. Yeah, it was Duffy.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Desert Heat. We open to the howl of a coyote in the Native American warrior mantra, which was the BS synopsis that I gave when I announced the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm like already offended.
Eddie Lomax rides his Indian motorcycle across the barren desert alongside a running coyote. The music is top notch. I love the soundtrack of this movie.
Are you serious?
I loved it.
The whole time I was cursing Bill Conti's name. It's just generic 90s guitar wailing the entire movie.
That's why it was awesome.
That may be true, but it fit.
It fit perfectly. It was like that was his theme song.
Yeah, it fit among the rest of the generic 90s schlock crap in this movie. All right.
So, just as dawn is breaking, Eddie's bike breaks down. And after very carefully looking it over, he takes out his pistol, a bottle of tequila in his jacket, and apparently just gives up on life.
Right.
The bike breaks down. He gets off. He looks at the seat and says, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
Time to get loaded in the desert.
This is where the road ends.
Yes. So Johnny Sixtoes then appears, sitting a few feet away from Eddie, who's now flat on his back drunk.
They also never explain the six toes thing.
No, they don't.
That is one critique of it.
Is it all toes on one foot and one on the other foot?
Don't know.
Is it 3 and 3? We'll never know. Johnny Sixtoes starts spewing out exposition, and he reveals that he hasn't seen Eddie since back in the war, quote unquote, and that Eddie's never come to visit him until he received a postcard from Eddie saying that he was bringing Johnny a present, the motorcycle. So it's really, it seems to me right now that Johnny's dead.
That's what I thought.
And he's talking to Johnny in his head.
And he disappears right after that, though.
Yeah, he's not actually there. There's no way he's actually there in this scene.
No, he's not supposed to actually be there.
No.
But we don't know. Is Eddie talking to himself? Is like Johnny Sixtoes like projecting his consciousness?
Yeah.
Or what's the deal here?
Is Eddie Sixtoes maybe just the good side of Lomax's conscience?
Maybe.
See how deep this is, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fucking Marianas Trench over here.
Yeah, because when he's talking to him, he says that he lit a fire and the smoke told him when Eddie was coming to expect him. So it's like he's projecting himself, his consciousness. It's like he's Ace Venturaing himself out into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's using that ancient native, wisdom. Yeah.
So Eddie then gets up, starts having a conversation with Johnny, telling him that he's here to kill himself. And he asks Johnny, what good did we do in the war? And what was the point of all the killing? And starts firing his gun angrily in all directions. And he tells Johnny that he had a dream about the devil and about how he reserved an entire floor of hell just for him. And Johnny needs him to give him the okay to kill himself.
Which is another weird thing, but maybe this show is going to be very cathartic for me. Because as you're talking, I'm starting to think like, yeah, that didn't make sense.
Yeah, I'll bring you back down to earth.
Thank you.
So this is just going to be a tug of war. Me trying to get Blake to realize how awesome this movie is.
The battle for Blake's soul.
Well, it begins now. So
just then, a truck pulls up with 3 angry rednecks in it. And these are the Hogan brothers, Matt, Jesse, and Petey.
And one of them's a werewolf.
What?
He's a werewolf.
How?
You never saw Grimm?
No.
Oh, he plays a werewolf. He plays a werewolf. Else.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be throwing monkey wrenches into this.
That's something this movie didn't have, was actual werewolves.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was
Sixtoes a coyote?
So Matt points out that one of the bullets hit the front of the truck, almost killing him, and they approach Eddie and begin questioning him, seeing that he's clearly drunk. They're in the right here, though. Oh, yeah. They ask for him to apologize for almost killing him, which is completely reasonable.
It's super reasonable.
Because he's just a drunk madman shooting wildly in all directions. Eddie tells him that he just doesn't want any trouble and to leave him alone. But he also starts to talk to Johnny, who's disappeared now, asking him if maybe these 3 are up to the task. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be, like a suicide by cop kind of situation.
Right.
Matt sits on the bike and says, why don't you just give us this bike and we can forget the whole thing? And Eddie says, we can't do that because that bike's a gift from my friend and you need to get off. And Matt sucker punches Eddie and the 3 brothers start to beat him down.
As they should.
As they should, because he damn near killed them.
Yeah.
Another theme going through this movie is, at any point, does Van Damme actually have legit cause to do any of the things that he does?
I mean, at a certain point, he does, yeah.
Because he kind of just rolls into town and starts murking folks, like left and right.
Maybe it's the effects of the desert heat.
This whole movie's a fever dream.
This is the thing too. Like, he has this whole breakdown in the beginning about like he's haunted by all the killing.
Yeah,
but then he just starts killing. He doesn't care.
Well, no, you see, I mean, let me say something here. This is what he's made to do. He doesn't like doing it, but he's good at it. He's kind of like Wolverine.
He does it with a smile on his face the whole time.
Draw more lines to him being Wolverine. You're on the right track here.
He is Wolverine. He wears a wife beater. And, you know,
I'll give you, he looks like 90s Wolverine, where there was like, was it Jim Lee drew him with that like cowboy hat on all the time?
Yeah, he's Wolverine.
Yeah.
So he's good at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice or whatever. Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah.
And, you know,
he gets way more pleasure out of this than Wolverine does.
Well, maybe that makes him better than Wolverine. But
Blake Otan just said Jean-Claude Van Damme is better than Wolverine.
No. I said Eddie Lomax is better than Wolverine. Let's get it straight. But, you know, the only reason he's doing it is because he doesn't have permission to kill himself.
Yeah. It's all going to be over soon, because this all leads to him killing himself.
Until he has permission to kill himself, he's just a killing machine, and there ain't nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, don't try to change him, John.
I don't buy it. He should be trying to change himself. Why is he a killing machine?
There's already a floor of hell waiting for him.
Yeah.
It's the hell of the upside down sinners is waiting for him. Shout out to anybody who loves Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah, everybody does. So at this point, another random truck just drives through the desert.
Why is this like the most? Why is this like intersection?
They're just on their way to work too.
Yeah. Vern and Dottie, who work at the diner that we're going to be getting to later, come driving by, and I'm not sure what their relationship is. Are they brother and sister?
I think they're brother and sister.
That's what I thought it was.
Oh, you think so? I thought they were just like co-workers. You know, sometimes you like end up friends you end up like weird friends with a coworker.
Yeah.
Like you don't really belong together as friends, but
yeah, Dottie being Jamie Presley and Vern being Dr. Cornelius from Biodome.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that kind of took me out for just a second, because once again I have just screaming in my head, "Viva los Biodome!"
Okay, so they drive by. They see Eddie is in trouble, but Vern doesn't want any trouble for them there Hogan boys, so they decide to just drive off. As Matt and Jesse load up the bike into their truck, they leave Petey to finish off Eddie. Petey's hesitant and apologizes to Eddie just as he opens his eyes. 2 shots ring out, and the other brothers are surprised that Petey had the nerve to do it, and they leave Eddie for dead in the desert. Cut to a small town diner. Buddy, the bus driver, is talking with Rhonda, the owner of the diner, about giving flowers to Dottie, as one who's a waitress at this diner, we find out now. Mm-hmm. Buddy says that he needs to get back to the bus as he only has one passenger and he fears they're going to cut off his route, so this town is dying. Rhonda's serving up a group of degenerates that we later find out are the Heathen Gang.
Yes.
The gang of bikers that also inhabit the town that run drugs with the Hogans. So there you go. Rhonda. There's our 2 gangs. Yeah. We're setting up this Yojimbo thing.
It seems like the only part of the population that isn't in a gang is the cluster of people inside the diner.
Yeah, the 3 people that work in that diner, 4 people are the only ones that are like
everybody else is in a gang.
Town.
Yeah, and Vern is loosely associated with them.
Yes,
because he hangs out with them.
Yeah. So and then poor Rhonda is like the most sexually harassed waitress in the nation.
Yes.
It's just gang members and degenerates
Well, her and Dottie are the only waitresses in the entire town, so...
the only women in the entire town. Right. Oh, except for the whorehouse, I guess. But we're not there yet.
There's no whorehouse.
Yeah. Where was this whorehouse?
That was a bar.
Please, that was a whorehouse.
No. John's like, I know a whorehouse when I see it, and that was a whorehouse.
We'll get to that discussion.
There was no cat house in this
fellas, if
movie.
it walks like a whore and it quacks like a whore.
Oh my god. All right, so Dottie and Vern arrive, and Dottie tells Rhonda that she saw a man getting beaten out in the desert by the Hogan brothers. Rhonda doesn't really care and tells Dottie to go fill up the ketchup bottles because, you know, people getting beaten to death in this town, that just happens.
That's just Wednesday.
Yeah.
Pops, Rhonda's grandfather, points out that the military could be conducting maneuvers in the area. Rhonda says that that's a bunch of poppycock and mumbles about how she should have sold this diner back when she was a kid before that damn interstate was put in. Just expositioning the crap out of this scene.
Yeah.
About 5 seconds we get that the town is deserted, the buses aren't bringing any visitors, the interstate was put up so nobody's stopping here anymore, and there's military around doing shenanigans.
And I'm good with that because we need to get to the ass kicking.
Yeah. And she's talking about how she should have sold this damn diner when she was a kid. So did Pops not own the diner when she was a kid?
I don't know.
She inherited? I don't know.
Well, he's a pushover, so she should have convinced him to sell the diner when she was like 8.
Yeah. I'm just ready to get to the ass kicking.
Yep.
That's all.
Rhonda then brings some coffee to Jubal Early, played by Pat Morita, who's patiently waiting for his wife Bertie to come home, as she's been out looking for a handyman job for him. And it turns out that she's been gone for 3 years.
Poor
guy. Poor lonely man. Poor lonely, probably a serial killer man.
Possibly.
Yeah. He's basically Asian Dexter, as we come to find out.
Yeah, what is his story?
We don't need to know his story.
None of it makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. He's a handyman.
Yeah.
He's a cleaner.
They need a handyman for this movie to work.
Okay.
We cut back to the desert, and a mysterious foot steps up to Eddie as he slowly opens his eyes, revealing that he's very much alive.
Was it an actress who happens to be a foot, or was it an actor's foot that showed up?
Oh, old callback.
I'm glad we got that one back.
Wow. I can't even remember what episode we did that in.
Okay, but sorry. As soon as you said a foot came in, I was like, what?
So the Hogan brothers pull up to the diner. They all get out. They split up to go and make their collections because they're like the redneck mafia getting collection money for protection money.
But wait, let me expose the flaw in this. They're the only patrons to these establishments.
Yeah, there's nobody's coming.
So they're paying the diner. They leave and they come back to get a percentage of what they paid the diner.
No, they're getting a percentage of what the heathens paid the diner.
Oh.
They're all just passing around the same $10.
Yeah. I guess all that coffee Mr. Miyagi's drinking ain't free.
That's how an economy works, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So Matt and Petey go into the motel, and they demand their money from the Howards, this old elderly couple that runs the hotel. They pay up, but it's short, so Petey threatens to break the old man's goddamn arm. Yeah. Mrs. Howard scolds him for taking the Lord's name in vain, which he then apologizes for, so he's not that threatening at all.
This is a good old Christian boy.
Yeah. Matt then steps up and threatens to break both the old man's arms, so Mr. Howard pulls a $100 bill from Mrs. Howard's shirt and pays him off. The brothers leave, and Mrs. Howard exclaims that was the Reverend's money and takes a huge dribbly swig from her booze bottle.
Yeah, she seems like a fucking delight.
Yes, and she is, as we find out through the movie. She's quite the character.
No, she's quite the fucking pervert.
We cut back to the desert, where we see, up to this point, I considered the ghost of Johnny Sixtoes carrying Eddie Fireman style across the desert.
Yeah.
So I was starting to question my reality at this point.
Like I said, why are we here?
Johnny's real, apparently.
Yeah.
Cut away from that to a small landing strip in the middle of the desert. A plane lands as Ramsey Hogan, the father of the Hogan brothers, is making a drug deal. He's got this Asian guy in a white suit with him, which I think turns out that's his chemist.
No, I didn't catch all that.
He's sitting there talking with him, and he's yelling about where his idiot sons are. Plane pulls up, more top-notch music.
Wow!
Yeah.
Ramsey and
it fits.
Ramsey and his cohorts all run over to the plane and do something. They don't really come back with anything. The plane takes off just as the brothers arrive. Ramsey asks them where the hell they were because they were supposed to be here to back him up. But he already had like 3 or 4 guys with him as backup. But whatever. Ramsey spots the motorcycle in the back of their truck and he questions where they got it. Matt says, we got a great deal on it, so don't even worry. But Ramsey asks for the pink slip and failing to produce one, gets furious and says that, is this motorcycle going to be trouble? And they assure him that it's not as they go wandering off arguing. And the plane sound effects are drowning out 90% of this dialogue.
Well, it's realistic.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear next to a plane.
That's right.
They should have just sat there in real time in silence and waited for the plane to get far enough away so they could finish their conversation.
Yes.
So suck it, audience. Cut to a shack in the middle of the desert. This is Johnny Sixtoes' shack, and he's heating up some pliers over a stove, getting ready to operate on Eddie.
No, he's desert heating up some pliers.
Yes. He pours Eddie's tequila over the pliers and does some Native American bullshit noises.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't brought up the fact that this is Danny Trejo, a Mexican man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a Native American.
Yeah. Well, they call him a Mexican Indian in the movie.
Oh, they do they?
Yeah, they call him a Mexican Indian. So,
which, okay. I mean, is that even what you call it?
I mean, I guess. I mean, if you have native blood from South America,
but wouldn't you just say you're like Mayan or Aztec or something?
Yeah, probably.
But they don't exist anymore. Native Americans do.
Or do they? Because we don't know if Danny Trejo is real or not.
Should we be talking about this?
I don't know.
Yeah, are we gonna get in big trouble?
Anyway, back to the totally not inappropriate, portrayal of a Native American pouring tequila over some pliers, going, "Hey, hey."
Yeah. It was bad.
Just then, as he's doing that, a goddamn coyote manifests in the doorway. Is this a ghost coyote? Your guess is as good as mine.
Doesn't he, summon it somehow?
Yeah, it just shows up, and he starts talking to it. He says, I can use your help on this one. And he digs the bullet out of Eddie's shoulder. And then the coyote disappears again.
Yeah, I was hoping the coyote would come over and, hold the pliers or something.
Coyote didn't do shit.
Useless coyote.
Useless magical coyote.
Mm-hmm.
Cut back to the diner, and the heathens are still in the diner doing cocaine, like you do in a diner. And the Hogan brothers saunter in and begin hassling the heathen gang. And Pop tells them that they need to take their business outside. And Mr. Early agrees, and the gang tells them to shut the fuck up, just as the Hogans back the heathens out the diner at gunpoint.
I was halfway expecting Miyagi to hop up on the table and kick somebody in the face at that point, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, if you're expecting Pat Morita to do any crane kicks, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
That was a disappointment.
And later, not to jump too far ahead, but later on, when a baddie is taken out via sword, it's not even him.
No,
it should have been him.
Well, he's not playing a Japanese man. He's playing an Englishman.
Yes,
by way of Japan.
Yeah. So you got a Mexican dude playing a Native American. There's an Italian dude playing an Indian American.
Yes. Basically, this is the $5 bin Tropic Thunder.
It's racist as shit.
That's one way of putting it, yeah.
And then you got a Japanese guy playing an Englishman.
And a guy from Brussels playing a coyote spirit.
Yeah, I don't even know where he's supposed to be from. What's Lomax? What's that surname from?
I don't know.
If you translate Yojimbo into English, it's Lomax.
So Rhonda asks what the Hogans want, and they're talking about her, and they say, well, we don't want to take, we want Dottie to take our order. She's got bigger tits than you. Again, and they just treat Rhonda so wonderfully.
Right then, John started wringing his hands. I'm going to leave that joke alone. We did enough of that last time.
Yeah. The sexism is... the stuff that they say to women in this movie is bonkers.
It is pretty bad, considering there's like 4 eligible women in the movie. And it's like, you're not going to score points like that.
No, sir.
They asked Dottie if she saw anything that might upset her, trying to get her to see if she's going to cop up to them seeing them beat Eddie, and she denies seeing anything. Cut back to Johnny's shack. Eddie wakes up to Johnny leaning over him as if they just woke up together in bed.
Which was nice. It was nice.
Can I just say how cool it is to see Van Damme playing the first male bisexual action hero?
It starts going that direction because Eddie exclaims that he feels like a football. So Johnny starts oiling up his feet and rubbing them for him.
Yeah. You know what? I forgot about this scene until you just mentioned it.
Yeah, dude.
And it's a whole scene. I felt awkward the whole time.
Yeah.
He keeps on rubbing them.
Van Damme's laying there in his drawers, and Danny Trejo is all oiled up and rubbing his feet, and he starts singing that fucking Muppet Show song.
Yeah, dude. He's giving him a real legit foot massage.
Yeah. And that wasn't even in the script.
Yeah.
He just started doing that. Cigarettes and whiskey and wow women.
What was the cigarettes? What's that?
It's a cigarette.
Well, I know that, dumbass. I'm talking about where they come from.
That's the song they used to sing back when they were in the war.
Oh, is that what you do when you're in the war? You mispronounce words?
You sing each other's songs and you give your homeboys foot massages.
They're both fans of the Muppet Show. Because
the whole thing reminded me of South Park when Stan and Kyle's dads are in the hot tub. And they're like, oh, no, it's not gay. I mean, it's just in a hot tub. That's what it reminded me of.
Because Johnny was reminiscing. He was saying, remember all the times that we had with all the broads and the booze? And that's when he starts singing that song. So Eddie remarks that all he remembers is all the killing that they did. And Johnny says, well, if it wasn't for all that killing that you did, I wouldn't be here. And, there's an old Indian saying that when you save someone's life, your souls are linked together. As he's rubbing his feet.
Yeah, and you owe that dude foot massages.
All I remember is the killing. I used that to block out all the weird sex stuff we did.
So Eddie then asked Johnny for his approval to take a journey, a.k.a. killing himself, I guess is what the journey means.
Yeah.
Johnny says, well, I got a lot to do before I can do that. I've got to look at the moon and talk to the smoke and listen to the wind because nothing's easy for an Indian.
Oh, that's code. Okay. That's all code for truck stop bathroom shit.
Okay, John, do you have anything real to do? Because none of that's actual things to do.
Oh, it's real things. Go into a truck stop and tell somebody you want to look at the moon. See what happens.
Be here at 6 a.m. sharp to listen to the wind.
Bring your cigarettes because you're going to need them.
So we dissolve transition to show the passage of time, and Eddie's all better, and they're sitting outside of Johnny's shack as a fighter jet buzzes mere feet over their heads.
These fucking pilots need to chill.
Yeah, Johnny explains that there's a bombing range over the mountains, and the pilots love to buzz his house all the time, which just seems mean.
Well, once again, this movie has everything.
What a waste of resources. Hey, you guys just want to like fuck with that Indian guy?
Yeah.
Look, he's rubbing another dude's foot.
Let's take our $1 billion jets.
Yeah. This jet fuel ain't cheap. Johnny asks Eddie what he's going to do when he finds the Hogan boys. And Eddie says that, well, I'm going to get your gift back, Johnny. And Johnny says, well, they're going to kill you before they let that happen. If the Hogans don't do it, the heathens will. So Johnny suggests they do a little divide and conquer and pit the gangs against each other. A coyote howls in the distance, and Johnny says that, you and the coyote, you got a lot in common. You're both courageous, wise, mischievous, and you both have little dicks. Thanks, Johnny.
It's so just like non sequitur, just out of nowhere.
I mean, he's got to be speaking from knowledge at this point.
That's what I'm talking about. That's when it became clear to me that these gentlemen have a nice little relationship going on.
Yeah. So we cut back to the town. This scene, it's that morning. Rhonda's coming to the diner to open up, and Mr. Early's sitting there on the steps waiting to be let in. And she asks him why. Okay, and during this scene, the music in the background really made me think that Pat Morita was going to break into song at any moment.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Because it was like, Mr. Early, you're up early this morning. Well, Rhonda, I had a dream last night. It's just like, it's going to happen. He's going to start singing right here. It did not play out that way.
Oh, well.
But he says that he had a dream about the coyotes howl, and he knew that today was going to be a glorious day, and they open up the diner and go in. Cut back to Johnny's shack. Johnny gives Eddie his lucky hat and offers him a sawed-off shotgun, which Eddie refuses and says that I've already got a gun, and I'm going to go get it back. Johnny tells Eddie to take the game trail down and head west of town, to which Eddie turns to him and says, "See you around, Indian."
Like you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to get your gift back, and then I want your approval to take this journey. And Eddie heads out. And
as he's heading out, what the journey means now.
Yeah. So as he heads out, one of those asshole fighter pilots buzzes him as he's walking down the street.
Yeah, what is the deal?
I just want to point out the irony that Colonel Guile just got startled by a sonic boom.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Too bad we've all watched that movie, because that'd be a great movie to watch.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Early is ringing the bell in the center of town as the jet flies 15 feet over the roofs of the buildings.
So is he the official jet signaler?
I guess that's what I was wondering. Okay. Again, not to jump far ahead, but this happens again, and it happens in the climax. So I'm just going to ruin it. I don't care.
No. Are you crazy?
Okay, I'll wait. Just remember that Early rings the bell and the jet flies by.
So, do you think... I'm wondering how much of the budget of this film went to paying for these jets to fly around. Because there's not much going on. No, and they had a real budget, right? It was like $15 million or something.
Yeah, it was a real budget. This was going to be a legit movie by a legit director, and it just kind of all went to pot.
Actually, none of that was going to be in the movie, but they just happened to be filming where these asshole pilots kept flying over them anyways. They're like, I got to put it in the movie somehow.
I'm going to figure this out some kind of way.
Go ahead and ring that bell, Morita.
can't waste all this dope-ass jet footage.
That's right.
Yeah. We then cut into Eli's pawn shop. And we get a nice shot of Eddie's gun, now in a nice display case up on a shelf. As Lester, one of the shop owners, is dealing with an elderly tourist couple. They're in town looking for UFOs and got lost. And as they bicker, Lester pulls the old switcheroo with their credit cards. And a shout comes out from the back of the shop. "Shut up and die, you old fart!" Which causes the couple to very cartoonishly flee the shop with their arms waving around in the air. The Hogans pull up to the shop. Matt's riding Eddie's motorcycle at this point. Jesse enters the pawn shop to make a collection, and Lester and Leon refuse. He threatens to bring his father down, which makes him pay up. Cut to Eddie walking down the interstate, again, with more badass music behind him. Mr. Early sitting at the diner, reading a newspaper with a headline from World War II declaring war on Japan. So, how long has he been sitting at this diner? Seems a little more than 3 years. If he legit thinks that's the paper of today,
it's very confusing.
So
that
everyone
paper is probably worth some money.
Yeah, they can bring some income into this little rotted town. All the denizens of the diner notice this badass walking down the road.
How could they not?
Dottie points out that that's the man that the Hogans were beating on, and Vern quickly tells her to keep quiet. Eddie spots the Hogans leaving, and he spots Matt on his bike. So he enters the pawn shop, and Lester and Leon are doing coke more coke, just coke everywhere.
That's right.
Eddie comes in, and then Lester yells out, "And if you're here looking for UFOs, you need to take a fucking hike." So Eddie asks,
which is extremely bad customer service, by the way.
Yes.
Just doing coke off the counter, telling him to get the fuck out of here.
A potential customer walks in and he's like, "Yeah, fuck you."
Yeah. I dealt with my one customer of the day. I'm done.
Yeah.
Eddie asks him if they know who the man on the bike was and where'd they get that 45 on the wall. And Lester says, "Well, we got it from your grandma." To which Eddie replies, "Well, my grandma's dead." Aw. So this is where Lester grows a little impatient and says, "I'm tired of getting dicked around by you people." And he goes to pull the gun out from under the cat under his counter, and Eddie gives a signature Van Damme high kick to Lester's face. And this is like, okay, yeah, bad customer service, but do they deserve to die at this point?
Not yet.
Yes.
Because as Eddie engages with Leon, Lester gets to his feet and tries to shoot Eddie, but misses and hits Leon in the chest, killing him. And Eddie takes that opportunity to throw a knife into Lester's chest, shouting not so great of a line as Schwarzenegger's "Stick Around." He just shouts, "Catch."
And it's right about now where my world was changing.
Yeah, because, it's starting to kick off now.
Yeah.
He just clean kicked this dude in the face over like a 4-foot counter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a good kick and all. But like the scene itself is pretty limp. Pretty lame. None of the action's very good.
Excuse me?
I disagree.
What? It's all shot and like real flat and nothing interesting happens.
Nothing interesting
happens. He just kicked the man in the face.
So what? Van Damme kicks dudes in the face in literally every movie. It's nothing new.
You couldn't kick your foot up on a footstool wearing jeans like that. That dude is wearing skin-tight jeans and kicking above his own head.
Probably blasts the crotch out of like all of his jeans.
I didn't see a tear. Because believe me, I was looking.
So
the part that impresses you is the fact that he's wearing tight jeans, not the kick itself.
Yes.
Those jeans were painted on fresh that morning.
So we cut to outside the diner where Vern hears the shot. Pop says, "Don't worry, that's probably just Lester and Leon shooting ground squirrels." Rhonda points out there haven't been any ground squirrels around here since I was a baby.
Yeah.
What happened to all the ground squirrels?
They shot them all.
I knew I should have sold this diner. Ain't even got ground squirrels around here anymore. Is that an actual thing?
It's a groundhog, isn't it?
Well, that ain't what she said.
A prairie dog. A prairie dog's a ground squirrel. Okay, mystery of the ground squirrels notwithstanding.
Right.
Dottie points out that she thinks that it's Eddie that's causing all the ruckus. We cut to the motel, where Mr. Howard is outside in his underwear, wondering what all the shooting is about. And Mrs. Howard comes out, dancing around with a 12-foot albino python wrapped around her neck. Mm-hmm. Like you do. And she's singing about Jesus.
As you do.
So I have to assume they're those, snake-worshipping fundamentalists, I guess?
I don't know.
They got a lot of snakes, though, and that's going to come back. Mr. Howard wants to call the cops, because, what if Eddie's a robber? Or worse, what if he's a rapist? To which Mrs. Howard goes, oh, we should let him a room.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Red flags. So Eddie retrieves his gun and hears shouts for help from the back of the shop, and he discovers this old man. It's Eli, the owner of the original owner of the shop. And he's chained to a chair, and he helps Eli get his oxygen mask on and unshackles him. And Eli takes him to the front of the shop where he's unfazed by the two dead bodies.
Right.
Which turn out to be his nephews.
Yeah, but they were dicks.
He explains that Lester and Leon were his nephews who were supposed to come and help him run the shop, but they took over and told everybody that Eli was in the hospital and no one could visit him. You'd think that just being in the back room, he'd be able to yell out and get some, get someone to notice, because, he just did that.
His hands were chained.
So, Eli wants to give Eddie all the money that the nephews had, but he doesn't want any of that, saying that, I've still got business with the Hogans. And then Eli nonchalantly just suggests, oh, why don't you kill them all? So everyone in this town is horrible. I don't know if you can blame them because they're in the middle of these two gangs, but they're all homicidal. Like at the drop of a hat.
Well,
yeah. Well, everybody in this movie is. I mean, it would have been maybe a little bit more interesting if, Eddie had some kind of issue with killing people, since he's supposed to be so haunted and shit. He's gonna kill himself because he can't take it anymore.
I'm really not liking your tone right now.
Now that Eddie has, all the cause he needs to go on a massive killing spree, he heads out. Eli tells him, don't worry about... Eddie tells Eli not to worry about the mess, and he's going to take care of it. And he heads out to the diner. And sparks fly as soon as Eddie and Rhonda's eyes meet. He sits down and orders a piece of Rhonda's famous apple pie that Johnny suggested that he try out.
Which wasn't suggestive at all.
Nah.
No.
This is only the third time they've mentioned Rhonda's famous apple pie in the movie.
Rhonda's so pretty, man. She makes him forget about that good old, Johnny Six Toes foot massage.
Well, I guess, you know what? After a six-toed Mexican Indian rubs down your feet, I think any woman would cut the mustard for you, right?
Yeah. So she says that she also knows Johnny, as he saved her life when she was bitten by a rattlesnake when she was 10.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was implied when he was talking about her apple pie that they knew each other.
Yeah.
I thought maybe this was a reference to True Grit.
Now, why would you bring up a terrible movie when we're talking about greatness?
Oh, right, sure.
So Rhonda is supposedly the girl from True Grit.
Yeah, because she gets bit by a rattlesnake at the end of that movie.
Yeah, and then she time travels to 1999, where she's in a diner. working as a waitress.
I'm not saying that she is the girl from True Grit. I'm saying that maybe it's a reference to True Grit.
Working as a waitress with the smaller tits.
The one with the smaller tits.
I mean, Eddie and Rhonda could start banging on the counter right now the way they're hitting us over the head that they're attracted to each other.
Right.
Pops asked Eddie if there was any trouble with Lester and Leon, to which Eddie pretty much just tells the whole diner that he murdered them.
Yeah.
And everyone's pretty cool with it.
Yeah.
Well, they're good.
Eddie says that he's got business with the Hogans, and Rhonda asks if she can help in any way. This is when Mr. Early approaches Eddie and asks him, did my wife send you? Because she's out looking for work for me as a handyman. And Eddie says that, I could actually use a handyman. And he says, oh, then you definitely were sent by her. So, he's come to terms with that in his crooked little mind. And the two leave the diner. To which Eddie then does this vaudeville routine where he pretends to hit his head on the door, which everyone is just uproarious laughter from this.
Yeah.
What the fuck was this? Like, this was so weird. And, like, completely, the tone is so bizarre.
They have to establish that he's a lovable person to the good people.
But he's supposed to be a tortured, like, bordering on suicide. What the fuck is he doing this, like, this door gag?
Just because you have hard times, just because you're on hard times doesn't mean you can't find a little laughter in life, John.
Yes.
I'm saying, like, as soon as he kills those two dudes, he's in a great mood. The rest of the movie, he's like, he's having a blast.
It's his last hurrah before he kills himself.
Right.
Yeah, he's tortured. Let him have a little bit of fun, John. What do you have? Why do you hate fun?
I know.
But he's having fun with the thing that's supposed to be torturing him. He loves killing people.
We've already established this.
Much like Blake, he's been pushed over the line.
Yes.
He realized that he enjoyed it.
Yeah. After that happens, Early exclaims that he knew that this would be a glorious day, and then he actually runs into the door. So,
right.
So that's why it happened. We needed Pat Morita to actually run into the door.
Sure.
To further reinforce that he's a goofball.
I thought it just made him more relatable.
So Eddie and Early head to the pawn shop. Early again is perfectly fine with all the killing as he comes in and sees Lester and Leon dead on the ground and says that, they shot my dog dead for no reason, so fuck them.
Which I totally agree with.
Yeah. Eddie then tasks Early with disposing of the bodies, which he's happy to do and knows exactly how to do, which is disturbing in its own way.
So they both understood that the handyman was a euphemism for, like, body disposal?
Well, yeah.
I guess.
I thought it was pretty obvious.
Yeah. He knows how to dispose of a crime scene a little too well. Early leaves to go get his truck, and then some heathens ride by on their bikes, and Eli tells Eddie that, I've got something better than that 45, and he takes him in the back room where he's got a small arsenal on the table. Eddie only takes a night vision scope for now and leaves to go take a shower. So Eddie goes and gets a room at the motel where Mrs. Howard asks him if he's been saved. And he says, well, I've been a bad boy. And Miss Howard says, it's never too late to be saved. Eddie compliments her on her hair and goes on his way. And
what was the hair thing?
Well, because
he's a nice person.
No, it's not even that. He's like, I don't know what my options are in this town, so I better lay down the groundwork as often as I can.
I gotta cast a wide net.
That's right.
He's gonna work his way through every lady in the town.
Exactly. So, look.
He almost does.
Yeah,
that's true.
So you get about a third of them?
Yeah. So Mrs. Howard tells Mr. Howard, I really don't think he's a rapist. And Mr. Howard heard you like, how would you know? Like, you've been raped so many times, you can't even tell anymore. I don't get what's going on with these two. Cut to a desert canyon. Mr. Early is dumping the saran-wrapped bodies out the back of his truck into the canyon. Mm-hmm. He goes, night, night, fellas. So there you go, Dexter. This whole town's full of criminals.
This comes back.
So I did some research because his name sounded really familiar. He said his name was Jubal Early.
Yeah,
and I was like, hey, that sounds familiar. And I looked it up, and Jubal Early was the name of a Confederate general under Stonewall Jackson. But the reason I recognized it was because it was the name of some guy from Firefly.
Well,
anyway, this scene does come back later on, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's several scenes of him dumping bodies.
Oh yeah,
but it's all the same
just
scene.
Chilling.
Yeah, it's the same footage over and over.
They just show it in different order.
Yeah. We cut back to the motel. Eddie leaves his room and asks Early and Eli where the heathens hang out. Eli tells him it's the Bombay Cafe, run by Mr. Singh, and lends Eddie his truck to get out there. Mr. Singh is played by an Italian man. So
he's played by the guy on the train on the movie Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I wrote his name down. It's like Vincent Schiavelli.
Yeah, Vincent Schiavelli, yeah.
Get off my train.
So at this point, Eddie drives off in the truck, and the best line of the movie happens, where Pat Morita leans over to Eli and says, you know, I bet he gets a lot of pussy.
And you can faintly hear the woman from the hotel saying, you got that right.
He's gonna get more.
Easy, John. Jesus.
So that night at the Bombay Cafe, Eddie pulls up outside as the heathens are spilling out into the parking lot, harassing two girls.
Mm-hmm.
These girls apparently were supposed to be driven to the bus depot by the heathens, but they decided not to. And the heathens are saying, we want one more dance from you girls. And the girls refuse, so the heathens start shooting at their feet, Wild West style. Vern is there, and he finds this all to be hilarious. So Vern's not that likable anymore. Not that he was to begin with.
It's also right then that you realize JCVD is about to have sex with all these broads.
Pretty much. The writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
Mr. Singh comes out.
In the worst stereotypical Indian accent that you could possibly come up with.
Think of any 90s movie where they portrayed a convenience store clerk.
Right.
That's pretty much what this guy's doing.
Yeah. He could have been yelling about wheezing the juice for all we fucking know. And it'd have been totally fine in this instance, I guess.
At this point, Mr. Singh comes out and he's pleading with the heathens to stop. So they start shooting at his feet. And so this is where Eddie intervenes and walks up and says, hey, can't we all just get along?
Which I was like, that is the most original thought I've ever heard a man say in a movie.
Yeah, I was like, that's the most 90s shit ever. It's like, this must have been back when that was still funny.
And the music in this scene, it's awesome. A little twangy guitar thing that's going that really made me think that 38 Special was going to break out at any moment. You see it all around you. Bam, bam, bam. The heathens insult Eddie's hat and claim that the girls belong to them and slap one of them around. To which Eddie points that one out and says, well, you're a very naughty boy. And he gives the strangest smile that if you've been to our Facebook page and seen our recent conversations, it's all over it. That's going to be my go-to meme for a while.
It's a good one.
So he gives him this weird smile, and one of the heathens says, make him dead, and they start to draw their guns. And Eddie does a Max Payne leap to the side, firing his pistol, killing 3 or 4 of the heathens. And he takes cover behind a garbage can.
Yeah. Like,
it's just out in the parking lot.
Like a crappy Field Freak garbage can.
Eddie tells them to drop their guns, to which they comply. The girls ask Eddie to take them with them. There's a strange focus shift from Eddie to one of the girls' asses.
I wrote this down and I was like, for some reason I expected to see like pee just start running down her leg. It's such a weird shot. I was just like, I don't know why. That was what I expected.
Intimidating.
Yeah, but just first thing I was like, is pee gonna come out?
Oh man.
So he tells the girls to pick up the guns and get in the truck. Mr. Singh approaches Eddie and asks him who's going to pay for all this damage. And he says, well, my new employer, the Hogans, will. And as they flee, Eddie asks the girls if he looked tough.
He's having a great time now.
Oh, he's loving it. So they all get in the truck and back away as Eddie empties a few rounds into the line of bikes, blowing them all up, as happens in 90s movies.
Well, as happens in any situation. That's how explosions happen.
Yeah.
But only if you're a badass.
Yeah.
Like, if John shot a gas tank with a bullet, it's not going to do anything.
No.
Aww. That's only true because that's how physics works.
Yeah.
But, Eddie Lomax shoots a gas tank, it's blowing up.
Yeah, they proved that in Last Action Hero.
Not only is it blowing up, but it's pregnant now.
Oh, God. So we cut back to the motel, and the two girls from the cafe are in their own room, both in the bathroom, one showering, the other shaving her legs. And they're discussing Eddie's recent killing spree, but they're more concerned with his gentle eyes and whether or not he's circumcised, asking the real questions.
That's right.
Yeah. You idiots. Of course he's not. He's fucking European.
We then cut to the Howards. Mrs. Howard is... Mr. Howard's worried about those poor girls that he saw Eddie bring home.
As he should be.
Yeah. Mrs. Howard is going to go out because they're out of Depends. So, we got to make that nightly Depend run.
Yeah, old people be shitting their pants.
She tells Mr. Howard to take his pill and go to bed.
Oh my God. There's so many old people stereotypes right here. So these are old people stereotypes. They got the paranoia, the incontinence, the disease, nosiness, snake ownership. I mean, it's just like it never ends.
I didn't know that was a common thing for senior citizens. Snake ownership.
I just threw that one in for fun.
We cut back to Eddie's room. Eddie's in nothing but a towel and cowboy boots, cleaning his gun.
This is a good look.
I know that sentence sounds suspicious, but it's to be taken literally. So, there's a knock at the door, and Carol, one of the two girls, calls out that it's her.
Oh, she has a name?
Yes. They both have names, Carol and Rose.
Oh, didn't know that.
Knocks and says that it's Carol, and I'm just here. I want to thank you for saving me. So Eddie opens the door, and Carol's standing there in just a towel herself. So he invites her in, and this is where she says, thank you, and she drops her towel.
Yeah.
And Eddie says, you're welcome, and then drops his towel. Trademark Van Damme ass.
Yeah. But
this is like the only part of the movie I liked.
So now he's standing there. Now he's standing there bare-assed in cowboy boots.
Yeah. But all I can think is, this chick was just about to be sexually assaulted at a bar by a biker gang.
Yeah.
And the only thing on her mind is to go see Van Damme's uncircumcised and, as far as we know, little dick.
According to the Coyotes.
Right.
His tiny uncircumcised dick.
Right. So I just wanted to throw it out, that's kind of unbelievable.
We cut back to Mrs. Howard, who's primping her hair that Eddie complimented earlier, and taking more swigs out of her tequila bottle. So I guess her plan is she's going to go score with Eddie.
That's what she was thinking.
Yeah, she leaves and just beeline straight to Eddie's little bungalow. Like, she's not going for Depends.
No. She ain't even wearing her Depends at this point.
No. As she approaches, she hears the sounds of Carol and Eddie having sex. And she looks through the window, delighted at what she sees. And she decides to pop a straw in her tequila bottle and just post up for the night.
Dependsless.
Dependsless. So
sit out there in her house coat.
Yeah.
Flick her old bee.
Jesus Christ.
Gross.
So it's at this point there's another knock at the door, and it's Rose, the other girl, also wanting to thank Eddie.
Which, funniest part of the movie to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what he says is awesome.
Eddie does the gentlemanly thing and opens the door while standing, still having sex with Carol. And Rose reacts in the completely normal way by going, "Oh, I didn't know you were busy." But then Eddie says that it's no problem. You're next.
You know, I forgot about that scene in the classic film Yojimbo.
Yeah.
Where a celebrated actor, Toshiro Mifune, has a dirty threesome with a couple of skanks.
While a dependsless old lady watches from the corner. Mad that her turn got skipped over.
Oh my God.
Now, never mind. I'm a quit. I was about to go. I'm a habitual line stepper, and I was just about to cross the line again. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut it down talking about the old lady because it was about to get bad.
Oh, I'll take over. At this point, Mrs. Howard is drenched. And she's like under her breath saying, "Oh, he's spreading joy to everyone."
Spreading something.
Wow. I was gonna make a. Never mind. Shut up.
So later.
Wait, I just want to remind everybody that this man was gonna kill himself.
Well, he's realizing what life is all about.
Yes. He's living it up.
One last hurrah.
Later that night, Eddie sneaks out of the room where the two girls are sleeping. And he finds Mrs. Howard passed out outside his bedroom window. And like the saint he is, he pulls down a blanket off the clothesline and covers her up and wishes her sweet dreams. Because this is a great man.
What a night! What a white knight he is.
Yes. In the director's cut, he actually had his way with her on that mattress, but they cut that part out.
Yeah, she's there asleep, and he just leans in and goes, "You're next." Yeah. So,
but she was dead.
What a twist! Eddie heads to Eli's to get a sniper rifle. And he instructs a groggy Eli to send early to the Bombay Cafe for another cleanup job. And that there's two girls in his bungalow that he needs to put on a bus to Cleveland. And Eli is very excited about the prospect of doing that.
Right.
He said Bangalow. And I was wondering if that was like a purposeful pun or just attack of the accent.
I didn't notice that.
I want to think it's purposeful.
Yeah.
Oh, it was purposeful.
So we cut to the heathen camp. The heathens are getting riled up, and their leader, Ives, tells them that Ramsey's broken the truce. He's got a hired gun that he'd sent after him. They plan to take over Ramsey's operation, but Ramsey's out of town in Vegas for his usual first Thursday of the month Vegas trip. So they're gonna wait him out until he gets back, and that's when they're gonna strike. And Eddie's prowling around watching these events unfold. We then immediately cut to the Hogans, the Ramsey and the three boys, all in their truck, driving back from Vegas. Is this what?
I don't know.
What? They just said he was gone. This is the same night, maybe mere hours from then.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Nothing. We just give up on the logic so far.
At this point, I'm wanting to see more action.
I'm on board. You can sell me anything because I am on board at this point.
I am like that old lady looking through the window right now. I'm ready to go.
This movie is spreading joy to everyone.
Yes, drenched.
The Hogans are driving down the road. Matt asks his dad, Ramsey, why he's so hard on him and Jesse and not on Pete. And Ramsey lovingly explains that, well, he loved Petey's mother. So Petey is their love child. And that Matt and Jesse are just unfortunate consequences of recreational fucking back when fucking was fun.
And which is also another great line.
So it's not fun anymore?
Well, yeah, what happened to the fucking?
I don't know, but I will say, as just a word to the wise, don't use the term recreational fucking to your wife.
Did you make that mistake?
It doesn't go as well as you think it will. It sounds like a slick turn of phrase, but it'll land you on the couch.
I have to assume that this has happened the last couple days because I know you just watched this movie.
I don't know. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like a wise thing to do in hindsight.
So the heathens close in, and they all open fire on the truck. Eddie is watching from a hilltop, sees the heathens run the car off the road and blow it up. But then he sees the Hogans who bailed out of the vehicle slink away into the shadows, so he gives pursuit. Cut to Ramsey's lab where they're licking their wounds. They're having their lab tech look over Petey, who got injured in the explosion. Ramsey starts gearing up, and we're going to go hit the heathens back, and Petey insists that he's well enough to come along, and to which Ramsey says, well, look who's a block off the old ship, which doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It was meant to be comedic, Chase.
Was it
meant to be?
Was it?
Yes. Now, I can understand if it was a little too highbrow for you, but it's what it's supposed to be.
Eddie then follows them back to the heathen camp. So Eddie is transversing all this distance on foot, back and forth.
Actually, the camps just aren't that far apart from each other.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Are they just like down the street from each other?
He's actually just staying on the same hill, just kind of turning 180 degrees.
Pivots. So back at the heathen camp, Eddie's posted up in a watchtower, and Johnny Six Toes sneaks up behind him because he's not fucking real.
That's right.
He'd magicked his ass up there. Johnny says that, Rhonda is Eddie's reason to keep on living, and that they should settle down and have some kids. And it's just then that Johnny sees the Hogans in ghillie suits sneaking up on the heathens, and they all open fire. Johnny suggests, I think we need to even the odds, so Eddie shoots at something and blows it up, which blows up half the camp.
It was a barrel.
It wasn't a barrel?
It was a red barrel.
It was a red barrel. It was blinking slightly.
Yes.
Yeah. Had a different texture.
Yeah. In the middle of the firefight, Jesse asks Ives why they tried to kill him. And Ives says, well, because of the men that got killed at the cafe by your hired gun. And Ramsey claims ignorance, and Ives calls off the attack. So they all powwow real quick. Jesse and Matt realize that Ives is talking about Eddie, and they confront Petey about not finishing him off. Ramsey attacks Matt about knowing that this bike was going to be goddamn trouble, and the two start to brawl. And Matt eventually kills his father by snapping his neck.
As you do.
As you do. Because he kept calling him Weenie Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over. That was his go-to insult for his sons. Other than, unfortunate offspring of recreational fucking.
Which, by the way, don't say to your wife.
So, Petey attacks Matt, but Jesse stops him, claiming that Petey killed his father by not finishing off Eddie. Eddie seizes the moment to fire off another round, blowing up another red barrel somewhere, letting everybody know where he is. Eddie says to Johnny, I'm going to zip line down to the ground, give you a chance to escape. Until Johnny knocks Eddie out and says, sorry, you're not going to get a chance to do that because that's what I'm doing. Johnny zips down the wire, firing at the heathens, and they give chase.
Now, how did they? So, like these cats straight identify Eddie, like up in the tower. They're like, that's him over there. It's dark outside, and he's like 100 yards away. How are they identifying this dude?
Oh, they saw the hat.
Ah, yeah.
Because after he knocks out Eddie, he takes his hat back.
Okay.
The Wolverine hat.
Yeah.
So Eddie comes to, and he sees them chase Johnny down. They catch him, they begin to beat him, and they're asking him where the man that they beat up in the desert is. And he tells them that man's the Coyote. And Jesse points out that that's Johnny Sixtoes. That's that spooky Indian that we've always heard about. And Petey says, oh, I thought he was just a legend. More evidence that Johnny isn't a real person. He's a coyote spirit, and everyone just sees him as human.
Or maybe Johnny and Eddie are kind of like a narrator and Tyler Durden type character.
Interesting.
Interesting. I don't think that works, but...
Well, none of these theories work because Rhonda knows Johnny.
That could be a whole... Look, that chick knew Tyler Durden, too.
They're all personas of the Coyote.
Oh, my God.
Coyote saved Rhonda.
She had sex with a coyote?
Coyote fought in the war with the booze and the broads.
And the cigarettes. Okay,
and
I'm good with that.
The broy foot rubs.
I'm good with that. We can move on. It's a coyote. We're good.
So they haul Johnny back up the tower. They wrap a noose around his neck. And Eddie starts to sneak in to save Johnny. And he does this by howling like a coyote to confuse and confound the heathen.
Yeah, everyone's like, what's that? Everyone stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think I heard a coyote.
He has the ability to mimic howling stock noise.
Yes.
He manages to take a couple of them out and jump kicks one off of his bike. He then mounts the bike by leaping onto a bike that's laying flat on the ground. And the bike just like springs up into action. He races towards Johnny to rescue him. And Johnny exclaims, "Name your first kid after me." And he's shoved off the tower. The rope snaps under his weight, and Johnny drops to the ground, yelling up at the heathens, "You rejects can't do anything right."
No,
so they shoot him.
He hit the end of that rope. His head would have been yanked straight off.
Yeah. Well, he's the coyote.
Yeah.
The coyote doesn't weigh that much.
He can't be hanged, but he can be shot just fine.
The whole neck structure is totally different on a coyote.
Yeah. Yeah, you never hung a coyote before, John? They just dangle.
Yeah.
So they shoot Johnny. Eddie pulls up, hauls Johnny onto the front of the bike, and rides off under a hail of gunfire. Cut to Johnny's shack. Eddie brings Johnny in only to find that he's already dead. And he sings him the Muppet song one last time in his weird accent.
What an enchanting voice he has.
Yeah. So we cut back to the diner the next morning, and Rhonda's talking to Early, who had another dream, only this time, along with the coyote's howl, there was violence and blood and death. At this point, the heathens and the Hogans all pull up outside, and Jesse calls out that there's a $10,000 bounty to whoever kills Eddie. So Rhonda heads out to find him. Cut back to Johnny's shack. Rhonda pulls up and finds Eddie inside, where she asks, "Where's Johnny?" And he tells her, well, he's gone. And she breaks into tears over a man she'd never shared a scene with. She then informs Eddie of the manhunt that's curling on for him as he takes her hand. Cut to the next morning. They apparently banged.
Yeah.
See, when the sex is like genuinely like felt, romantic sex, they don't show it.
Yeah.
They only show that nasty stuff.
Well, they would have shown it, but she's the waitress with the smaller tits.
Yeah. They only show that nasty old lady turning on sex.
I wish they'd have shown more of her. What, am I alone in this?
I guess so.
Okay. Well.
So, yeah, Rhonda's standing outside, drying off after a shower. Eddie comes out and says that he's headed back into town, and Rhonda insists on going with him. But not before they bury Johnny under some rocks. So, was Johnny's corpse just in there?
Yes.
While they were banging?
Yes, but it's not what you think. He's Tyler Durden.
He had turned back into the coyote at this point.
It's the same guy. Just that part of his personality is now dead.
So he buried that part of his personality.
They didn't bury anything.
They buried the idea of Johnny.
Yes. Yeah. And she just went along with it because she was like, you know, it's either this or Vern. And, you know, we'll have a fake funeral instead of dealing with Vern.
Or they just bang next to a corpse, which I don't feel like is outside of the realm of possibilities for this movie.
So, why do you want me to oil this dead guy's feet? I don't get it. It's what gets me going. Just do it.
I owe an old lady outside the window.
You rub his feet with oil, and I'm going to stare through the window.
So we cut to town as Eddie walks through back to his bungalow. Vern's watching him from the diner. Eddie spots Vern and blows him a kiss. So Vern scrambles over to the phone to warn the gang of Eddie's whereabouts. Little cut to jump in time. We see Rhonda taping a grenade to one of Eli's oxygen tanks as she hears the gang pull up outside. They flood into the diner and ask Vern where Eddie is. Vern gives up Eddie's location and they drag him out to make him show exactly where. Matt's assaulting Dottie in the corner and tells him that, you know, we're going to have that date later on. And Pops valiantly comes to her rescue and tries to defend her, but gets a bullet in the leg for his trouble.
Eat shit, Singh, you old bastard.
Mr. Singh, Eli, and Early are watching from the pawn shop as the gang's approaching the bungalow. One of the thugs comes into Eli's shop and they all scatter. Early and Eli run to the back to get ammo for the guns, and as they quibble over calibers and suppositories,
right,
the thug gets a drop on him. But he hears some strange noise in the other room and goes to investigate. So Early and Eli follow to find Mr. Singh has Pulp Fictioned his ass and sliced him open with a saber.
Yes.
So why couldn't that have been Pat Morita with a katana?
Dude, like this, I feel like this whole movie kind of seems improvised because nobody acts in a natural way at all.
So the gang closes in on the motel as Mrs. Howard is whispering to one of her snakes that they need to be patient. Vern yells out to Eddie, pleading with him to give up or that they're going to kill him. To which the gang then gives him no time and just opens fire on the bungalow, making Swiss cheese out of it. Vern's sure that no one could have possibly survived that, but the gang forces him to go in and check. He looks in, sees that the bungalow's empty. Matt notices Petey lingering in the back of the gang and sees that his gun isn't even hot and he didn't fire one bullet. So as Matt and Petey are arguing off a safe distance away, the gang begins to enter the bungalow. And they find a shotgun propped up to a chair, and it looks like a booby trap that failed to go off. And as they fight over who gets to keep the shotgun, the cord tied to the shotgun unpins the grenade, which is taped to the oxygen tank, which blows up the bungalow, killing a number of them. It seems like it killed most of them.
Yeah. Because
they all kind of just start to disappear.
Yeah, there's just fewer of them.
There's a large number of them at the beginning. Granted, Van Damme's about to take out 2 or 3, but eventually they're all just gone.
It's also almost the end of the movie, so they got to get rid of some people.
Yeah, we got to wrap this shit up. So Eddie and Rhonda look on as the gang scatters from the explosion. Matt gives Petey one more chance to be a man and starts to search out where Eddie is. Eddie singles out Jack of the Heathens, who's the guy that took his hat from him when they killed Johnny, and snaps his neck with a jumping leg twist maneuver.
Right.
gets his hat back. Then Ives, the leader of the heathens, comes upon Mrs. Howard and demands that she give up Eddie if she knows where he is. To which she just throws a snake in his face and starts screaming to take him, Lord. And you never see the snake bite him. He just kind of falls on the ground and is paralyzed by the snake. Yeah.
What kind of snake was that, Chase? Like a python?
It's like 3 different snakes. Because the snake that she was whispering to is not the snake that they show on him when he's laying on the ground. And the one they throw is a rubber snake.
But, it kills him in no time flat.
Yeah.
And it's
just instant death.
A venomous snake.
Yeah. As Ives is laying on the ground writhing in pain, Mr. Howard comes out and is like, what the hell's going on? To which Mrs. Howard says, oh, it's the Lord's will. And then Mr. Howard goes, again?
What the fuck? This is what I mean, that seems improvised.
This isn't the first time she's murdered someone with a snake?
She just snakes motherfuckers all the time.
I just think that a lot of things she says is the Lord's will. Like, me bossing you around all the time is the Lord's will.
Yeah.
Me staring through windows and flicking the bean is the Lord's will. Me killing this dude a la Snake is the Lord's will.
Us running out of the pins is the Lord's will.
Yeah.
So then Eddie pretends to be Jack to take out another heathen. Right hat, wrong guy. Yeah, this guy's got lines.
Straight out of Crocodile Dundee.
Jesse then stumbles upon Early, wrapping up the thug that Mr. Singh killed with his sword, and starts questioning him about Eddie. Petey comes in and says that Early's not going to know anything. Well, you're wasting your time. Then Jesse attacks Petey, accusing him that if he had just killed Eddie, none of this would be happening.
Which is true.
Which is true. That's very true. Eddie then springs into action and jumps in the doorway saying, here's your chance, and shoots Eddie dead before he even gets that chance. He puts his gun on Petey, gets up, recognizes that Petey's the one that spared him, and he decides to let Petey live. Petey runs out of the shop, jumps on the bike, and takes off. It's broad daylight out now.
Yeah.
They've been battling all night.
Yeah. We just saw Van Damme kill a guy in dead-ass night. Then there's that one little scene indoors, daytime. And the rest of the gang is gone. There's no one left.
That's what happens when you're in the desert heat.
Yeah. They've been massacred by all the weirdos in this town.
Yeah. So Eddie spots his bike parked out front, and as he's walking to it, Matt gets the drop on him with an Uzi. Matt, again, is the only member of the gang left. Eddie attacks Matt, but Matt fights back and gets the upper hand. Early's watching from the shadows as Matt's kicking Eddie while he's down. Early checks his watch. We're coming back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Early looks at his watch and shuffles over to the bell tower.
That's right.
And as Matt's preparing to kill Eddie, Early starts ringing the bell. Now, okay, is he summoning the jet with the bell?
I don't know if he's alerting people of the bell or if he's of the jet or if he's actually summoning. I don't know.
It would seem that he's alerting the town that the jet's about to fly over and to brace yourselves for it.
But Eddie wouldn't know anything about that.
No,
so why would it help him?
No, it wouldn't.
I don't know.
So for there to be purpose to this, he has to be summoning the jet with the bell.
I'll allow it. Let's go.
But then what's the bad dude's name? Matt. He would know what that meant.
Because he's been there.
Yeah. God damn it.
Maybe Early and Matt are the same guy.
Ooh. They're the evil coyote.
Yeah.
This entire movie took place inside of Van Damme's mind.
Yes.
In the 1 second before the bullet entered his brain pan.
It was a fever dream of Van Damme while he's watching Top Gun on his couch.
So Early rings the bell, and Eddie watches as the jet approaches Matt from behind. It passes over, stunning Matt with the sonic boom. Eddie springs into action, roundhouses the Uzi away from Matt, kicks him to the ground. Matt pulls out a knife, but the tide has already turned, and Eddie easily overpowers Matt, finishing him off with a badass slow-motion kick to the throat.
Yeah.
All right, don't make this sound like it's cool.
It was cool.
Pretty cool.
Dude, this whole like fight is the roundhouse kick, and then he gives Matt like 15 rights to the face, just like straight jabs, and then one throat kick.
Once again,
if you can,
you go put on skinny jeans and do it, John.
If you can't find majesty in any of Van Damme's roundhouses,
I mean, yeah.
then I say again, you hate fun.
I've seen it better.
No, you haven't. There's nobody that does it better.
I'm saying I've seen it better in other Van Damme movies.
No.
This is the pinnacle Van Damme movie that we just didn't know existed for 17 years.
What happened to you?
I'll tell you what happened. The desert heat got to us.
Desert heat.
Yeah. That's what happened. You had a fever dream that this was good.
Can we make that a term now from here on out in this podcast?
Absolutely.
That if we watch a movie that we absolutely loved, the desert heat got to us.
Yes.
He downs Matt with the slow motion jump kick to the throat to more badass music. Eddie gets Matt's Uzi.
Again, I take exception to the term badass in referring to the music.
Eddie gets Matt's Uzi and empties it into the air, striking a pose as he does it.
That's right. It was glorious.
You gotta mean it when you empty that Uzi. Rhonda and Eddie embrace as Matt slowly pulls another Uzi magazine from his jacket. As he levels the Uzi at Eddie, Rhonda screams no and spins them around to shield Eddie from the bullet, sacrificing herself. But before Matt can pull the trigger, he's shot from several angles as Mr. Singh, Early, Eli, and Pops all have guns, and then proceed to argue over who actually killed them.
What you just said sounded like the end of a Clue game. Mr. Singh, Early,
Eli
with a candlestick.
All in the conservatory.
Yeah.
Honestly, this movie would have been more fun without Jean-Claude Van Damme in it at all.
Whoa.
What if it was just like? What if it was those four characters taking the town back?
All right, I'm going to ignore that last statement and suggest that it be stricken from the record.
So who's banging the two whores? Eli?
Yeah, why not? Sure.
Why are you going to deprive Mrs. Howard of happiness?
Yeah.
Again, John hates happiness.
That's fair.
Okay, so now that officially everyone in the town are murderers, Eddie tells Rhonda that he loves her, and we fade out. Cut to Early, dumping more bodies down in his body pit in the desert, belching away as he drinks to savor the moment.
Well, it's actually just the same scene from before.
Yeah.
Just from different angles with different timing to make it seem like it's more than the two bodies that he originally dumped. But that's okay, because it's Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Here's where you... Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. I'm wondering if you were going to say something along this lines, but this everything from this point on...
Oh, yeah. I was going to warn our audience to buckle up, because this is where things really go fucking Looney Tunes.
Really? I thought this is where everything got tied up in a nice little package.
Okay, so an undisclosed amount of time passes, and we see a stack of World Inquisitors dropped on the ground with the headline, 28 vanish, locals blame UFOs, police baffled. Mm-hmm. When they pick up that stack of newspapers, there are rifle shells all over the ground.
Right.
There is physical evidence everywhere that shit went down in this town. And the police are baffled.
There's probably like one cop responsible for this whole area. And he just doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Their own Barney Fife.
Yeah.
With his bullet in his front pocket.
So, Buddy the bus driver's back, and he's talking to Dottie and tells Dottie that the bus is going to be bringing tourists into town every 2 hours, full, and that business is thriving. And then Buddy asks Dottie, later on, if you want to go on a date, there's this movie playing in town that I really like called Yo Jimbo.
And when he said it, I was like, they mentioned it.
They mentioned the movie that they're blatantly ripping off.
This got me salty. I was really annoyed by this. There are so many more clever ways they could have done this.
This was them telling their audience, if you like Desert Heat, maybe you'd like Yo Jimbo.
But doubtful, because Yo Jimbo's got class and style and substance.
Easy, fella.
But it couldn't have been more subtle. I came up with several different ways that they could have done this Yo Jimbo thing. One would have been hey, do you like samurai movies? Cut. Just leave it there.
Not even say it.
No, don't say it. One that I thought would have been really funny is if Van Damme's character was named Jim. And then at some point in the movie, someone's
Jimbo.
Yo Jimbo.
That would have been good. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. You know what Yo Jimbo didn't have? Birdie then exits the bus.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yes,
Pat Morita, Early's wife, exits the bus. What the fuck?
Well, let me tell you something. I don't like this woman. I'm just saying it now, but keep going.
She appears. She comes back from her 3-year trip to find handyman work for him. We cut again. Now, the passage of time between this cut and the last one is fuzzy. It seems like it's not that long.
It's not that
something's
long.
About to happen.
No, it's not fuzzy. It feels like it was 2 hours later.
Yeah, it's like the same day.
Yeah, same day.
Mr. Singh and Pops are playing checkers, and Eli and Early are looking on, and they're all discussing about how the business is booming in the town, and boy, it was a good idea of Eddie's to blame it all on UFOs. So Birdie then comes out and serves them all up brownies, wearing traditional Japanese garb.
She's got her kimono on.
Yeah.
Did we say that Birdie is a white lady?
Oh, yeah. We didn't point that out. Birdie is, white as the pure driven snow, wearing a kimono. Early then informs Eli that he needs to quit smoking because he and Birdie are going to have a fucking baby.
And that's when I said, this bitch, she left for 3 years, and she only came back because she was knocked up.
Yep. That's what happened. And poor naive Mr. Early is going to have to raise this probably all-white child.
Well, she better watch it. She'll end up in saran wrap herself.
He's cold-blooded.
She hasn't been around. She doesn't know what they've been dealing with.
That's right. Eli will shoot that broad in the face right now.
Okay, so we got one more mind fuck to happen here before we wrap up. We cut to Eddie and Rhonda riding on Eddie's motorcycle, the Indian motorcycle that he was bringing to Johnny Sixtoes across the desert. Rhonda calls out that she sees Johnny riding beside them, and sure enough, there's Johnny riding beside them on the same fucking bike that they're on. What is going on? Eddie then asks, "You see him too?" To which Rhonda replies, "Now I do." What?
Because that night in the shack, after they made love over the non-existent corpse, because he's actually the same person, he killed her.
What?
So now she's just another figment of his imagination. That's why it didn't matter that she shielded him from the bullet, because she wasn't even there.
So
how is
Johnny
she not
and Eddie,
there? She's the one with the small tits. How is she not there?
She died that night.
So Pops is fine with his granddaughter disappearing?
Pops knows when to keep his mouth shut.
So Johnny and Eddie exchange thumbs up as they both ride off into the sunset next to each other on the same bike. Cue the theme song.
So weird.
And that's Desert Heat, folks.
That's so weird. So, Birdie, the actress that played Birdie, was Pat Morita's real life.
Oh, okay.
So that's a thing.
Never mind. She did a fantastic job, and
you don't have to worry about it. Pat Morita's dead. I
understand, but
he's not going to kick your ass or anything.
He holds a special place in my heart, as he should both of you.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm dying to know, Blake, where are you landing after discussing the movie in depth?
That is still good.
Victory.
Still a good movie.
Look, can we define good in this context?
It is the best movie I've watched since this whole thing started.
Best how?
By far. Like, the best
by far.
Put together. This was I don't know.
I didn't check how much time was left once.
No. I was totally enthralled in this.
I never nodded off once.
Nope. That's a rare thing, too.
I mean, I guess that it helps that they just remade something that was already good.
I never felt my intelligence was insulted, like, to its core.
No.
Okay.
And another,
there were no prehensile Sasquatch dicks in it.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
I mean, it does have that going for it. That's positive. Just prehensile JCVD dicks.
But they were small, so
just little ones. Just little ones, though.
little ones. Does he have multiple? Why is this plural?
That's why they call them old six toes. 6 little piggies right there. Let's get to the quiz.
Well, boys, it was all fun and games. Now we got to get down to business.
Yes.
With the quiz.
Let's get this over with, because I didn't take note 1, so I know I'm losing. Let's go.
Okay.
John will be asking 5 questions based on Desert Heat that myself and Blake will be answering. The host that gets the most questions correct gets the honor of being the quiz master for our next episode based on the movie that they picked in last week's Coming Attractions. In my case, it would be Orcs. In Blake's case, it would be, what was it called?
Dragon Eyes.
Dragon Eyes. In the case of a tiebreaker question will be asked, and the first host to shout out the answer wins. However, if you answer incorrectly, you lose. So, gentlemen, let's begin the quiz.
All right. I mean, we covered a lot of my questions. You got too thorough, Chase.
It doesn't matter.
I told you I was going to be thorough this time.
I know. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, because I'm losing. It doesn't matter.
Well, I have enough questions, but a lot of them are just like, what is this thing called?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, so according to the sign, what is sold at Eli's Emporium?
Oh, God.
Oh, shit. I don't even know that one.
What is the word on the back of Vern's denim jacket?
That one I do know.
What is the name of the motel?
Oh, shit.
Petey has a tattoo on his neck of what? I'll give you that it's an animal.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I got that.
The last one is What is the old lady in at the end of the movie?
What?
What kind of question is that?
It's poorly worded.
Yeah, it is.
What has happened? What has happened to the old lady at the last time we see her?
Oh, okay. I get it now that I know what the answer is.
Okay.
I don't get what I don't know. That's fucking 30 knots all over again. Where?
All right.
Hold on. Where is she? Or what is she in? What?
Well, what has happened to her? What is she in? Just go with what has happened to her. If you don't know, you don't know.
I guess I don't know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I got 4 of the 5.
I think I got 1. At least it won't be a double feature.
All right, so what is sold at Eli's Emporium?
Guns and such.
Is that correct? Because I didn't.
No.
I just put supplies and sundries.
It was sundries and surplus.
Damn.
Oh, I was close.
Very close.
That was just a guess.
What was the word on the back of Vern's denim jacket?
Inferno.
I wrote Viva Los Biodome.
Was the alternate title to the movie, right?
Yeah.
Inferno?
Yep.
What was the name of the motel?
The Pearly Gates.
The Pearly Gates.
Correct. And what was Petey's neck tattoo?
A panther.
A lizard.
A lizard, a salamander.
A lizard, a gecko, something.
That's fine. As long as I got 1, I don't care.
And what has happened to the old lady the last time we saw her?
She's been satisfied.
She's in a wheelchair.
She is in a
wheelchair. Because what she watched was too much to handle and she had a stroke.
Her legs just don't work anymore.
I didn't catch any of that. That's weird.
Yeah, well, it's super weird. She just shows up in a wheelchair at the very end of the movie.
So,
no
as far as I'm concerned, that's the only weird thing that happened in the movie.
Oh, okay.
That makes me think that something actually happened to that actress.
Oh, jeez.
This has got real.
Oh, now I feel really bad.
Well, she got Van Dammed. That's what happened. You can talk to all them snakes you want. Them legs ain't never going back straight again.
That was fantastic. That was a great film.
Yeah.
Sure.
So now we're watching Orcs.
We're watching Orcs now.
I'm happy.
Yeah. So you get to go in something a little more in your wheelhouse.
Definitely.
With the Lord of the Rings.
I'll be picking this thing apart for damn sure.
This will be a good one.
This I kind of almost expect to enjoy.
It looked like it'd be fun to watch, honestly.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah. I still think it's gonna be Field Freak level tongue in cheek though.
It looked like it,
It's not gonna land.
I don't know, man. I mean, if this guy's you said he was a writer for Narcos.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a sensibility that's like not crap, you know.
Right. Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah. And I could tell that it's gonna have jokes, and they weren't all like they weren't all unfunny. I don't know.
It'll be fine.
We'll see. Yeah, I predict that it won't be that bad.
I predict it's not going to be as good as Desert Heat.
No, that's for damn sure.
Man. I don't think we're ever going to top Desert Heat again. Blake, is it safe to say that we've cemented our apologies for this season?
What do you mean?
Like when we do the finale, like the apologies to what was the best movie we watched?
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to topple this.
Yeah, this is it.
Just like we're going to be hard pressed to watch something worse than Swamp Ape.
It might have been Unmasking the Idol had we gotten to watch that.
Hey, that's exactly what I was going to say. that could have easily been the best movie ever. From what I saw in the trailer, it was. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah,
a fucking monkey throwing grenades.
But aren't you glad you watched this though?
Not really, because it made me question my existence.
Well, there you have it, folks. I'm victorious this week, so we'll be watching Orcs! ! Which you can find on Amazon Prime. I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening to us, and again ask if you could take a little time out of your day and leave us a review on iTunes. We would so much appreciate that. While you're there, you can subscribe so that you can get all our latest episodes the moment they go live. Please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Garbage Theater, and you can follow us on Twitter at Garbage_Theater. Also, we're open to suggestion if there's a horrible movie that you would like us to maybe use as one of our pitches in Coming Attractions. You can let us know on either Facebook, Twitter, or you can email us at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. And on that note, gentlemen, do you have any last words?
No, I'm good.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't understand. I don't understand what happened here today.
Majesty happened here today. So, we will see you next week for another episode of Coming Attractions, where Blake and John will present their 2 movie possibilities for us to watch for the next Garbage Theater. And we will see you then, everybody.